Welcome, friends. Today we will be talking about the tools we can use to improve our living standard, to promote mindfulness, awakening, and if we get lucky in this life, getting to moksha or liberation, what the sants, paramatmas, and all the big rishi munis have attained in their life. So, what are those paths that can lead to increased mindfulness and a state of bliss in our lives? Two distinct paths. The path of knowledge called Gyan Yog and the path of work or action, Karma Yog. And both these paths will lead to the same eventual goal of more meaning in life, more mindfulness, more bliss, happiness, and a sense of satisfaction with the quality of life we are living. And of course, if it's pursued to its extreme, it will lead to awakening, enlightenment, as some people have attained in the past. So the question is, which one is a better path? The answer to that question is there is no better path. There is, of course, a path which will lead to its eventual goal, which is reaching God, finding yourself, realizing who you are and what your function is here in this life, which can be served by either of those two paths. And while some verses in Bhagavad Gita will tell us that Gyan Yog is the better way or the most superior way of reaching God, Karma Yog is what is indispensable. So he's kind of balancing both those two virtuous pathways in terms of reaching God. So let's dive into Gyan Yog first. Gyan Yog, as Krishna says in Karma Yog chapter 3, Lokasmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Prokt Maya Naga, Gyan Yogen Sankhyanam, Karma Yogen Yoginam. So you can go by the Sankhya philosophy of Gyan Yog, or you can do the action philosophy of Karma Yog. Now, Gyan Yog is a little difficult to perform and attain right now. It's the path of meditation, burning all the emotions and rationalization and the ahamkara and the thoughts to a state of neutrality in the mind. When you close your eyes, no thoughts arise in you. If you have attained that level of siddhi, like Ramana Maharishi, who says God is inside you, so just close your eyes and visualize himself, then Gyan Yoga is the right path for you. Most of us, the unwashed mortals in this life, we are so much stuck with reactionary activities, guilt, anger, resentment, so many negative as well as some positive emotions that we cannot reach that state of neutrality. Mind is constantly thinking all the time. So for us, the other path, which is the path of Karma Yoga, is recommended. Karma Yoga is the path of action, a path of renunciation of all desires and doing the work in the name of God without any reactionary fruitive expectations or any fruits in return for the activities that you perform. So that is Karma Yoga. Now, if you track back to some of the verses that Krishna uses to kind of talk about the protocol of mindfulness attainment, which he delineates in the chapter 12 of Bhakti Yog, Krishna goes on to say, Mayev man adhatsva may buddhim niveshaya nivsishyasi mayevat urdhavam na sanchiti ati chittam samadhatum na saknoshi maiswaram abhyasagin tato mayu chaptum dhananjaya. So he says, in me, you have to put your mind and your intelligence. As we talked in the earlier lecture, mind itself has four components: manas, buddhi, ahankar, chitta. And buddhi is your delineating intellect, and manas is your constant activating thoughts. And both of them will create activities and impressions which will go in your reservoir of chitta. And ahamkara is a portion of the brain or mind which is dealing with distinction, distinguishing you from me, from the world, from the God, and whatever creates a sense of distinction, which is important for the progression of materialistic science and all the advancements that we're making. But in spiritual world, you try to coalesce everything together into one. Like what Isha says, from one arises everything, from nothingness arises everything. So that is the path of Gyan Yog, in which you are aligning your emotional brain and the rational brain, totally decimating the ahamkara to combine together, and the only thought you have is either about visualization of God or visualization of nothing. That is the level of meditation you have to be proficient and be attaining to get to Gyan Yog. Now, there are some other problems with performing and attaining Gyan Yog to get to Siddhi, or the state of perfection. The other problem is we are living in Kali Yug. And in Kali Yug, we have a lot of distractions, if you will. Also, we have lots of responsibilities, because no more people go from brahmacharya to grihast to varnashram to sannyas. So there is no distinct ashrams in life or the stages of life. People go from brahmacharya, which you are lucky if you get to 13 or 14 in America, and then they are going into the path of celibacy to they're going into their grihast, or the life of the householder, or living together, or whatever people do these days. So that is the path in which you have taken some responsibilities. Now you have to dispense the responsibilities. You cannot run away without completing your responsibilities. If you decided to start a family and live with them, then it's very important that now you should raise kids, well-disciplined kids who will attain all the higher goals in life. So in Gyan Yog, you have to be free from compulsions and terms and conditions of a family life and from distractions. And that's why it's more suited for people who are brahmacharis or celibates, and people who are mostly aloof, because they can go and practice on a mountain or on the beaches, and they're not in a cosmopolitan metro where you are honking all the traffic and there's lots of distraction and noise, if you will. So that's more in a state of isolation, and you have to be not having totally completed all your responsibilities. Then only you can go into the realm of sannyasa. Now, the third problem with Gyan Yoga is that you have to be at a higher level in terms of your chakras or your attainments. You have to be an introvert. You have to be at a higher level of the chakras. If you are still struggling with the need of food and sex, constantly ruminating your brain all the time, or ambition of the Manipura, so food and water, those are from Muladhara, pleasures, be it sex, alcohol, sweets, those are coming from Swadhisthana, and Manipura is the third chakra, the solar plexus, which will give you the ambition. So when you're at these three chakras, you're still trying to either enjoy the existing material environment or create something where you will get a lot of appreciation and clapping from the people around you. Entrepreneurship, for that matter. Nothing bad with it, but it's not going to lead to Gyan Yog. It is still at the level of Karma Yog. So if you are stuck in these three chakras, which 90% of us are, either being very ambitious or pleasure seeking, or just trying to sustain their day-to-day activity because we are homeless and have no resources, then Gyan Yoga will not work. You cannot be starving and be meditating and be getting blissful. I mean, it has to happen at a point in time where you have totally satiated your lower chakras and you can love people unconditionally, as Neem Karoli Baba used to say. Love people, serve people, feed people. What are you doing when you're doing that? Loving from Anhata, the heart chakra, serving people, that is mostly ambition of entrepreneurship, running temples and feeding people and stuff like that, which is filling their stomach, the Manipura, and love, serve, feed people. So it's basically caught up in the Anhata and the pleasure or the feeding solar plexus. So these are the lower chakras. If you are at a higher chakra, if you are at a state where you only speak the truth from Vishuddha, or you have a lot of intuition about surrounding people, and you know their past lives and you know their present lives, who they went with, what they did, like Neem Karoli Baba used to be having those kind of gifts, then you can practice Gyan Yog. But if you're at the lower chakra, you should do selfless service to people. And that's why Krishna, if you go back on the chapter 12 in Bhakti Yog, says, Abhyase pasya samotharsi madkaram parmo bhava madartmapi karmani kurvan siddhim vapsisi. If you are not able to do by the constant practice and repetition of meditation, attainment of Gyan Yog, go for Karma Yog. He's giving us the option. And remember, he's giving these sermons in Dwapar Yuga, or the Yug where 50% of evil is there and 50% of good things are there. So it's kind of going from Treta, Dwapar to Kali Yug. And that's why Kali Yuga is all about evil distractions. So you can only start and work with the lower chakras, because most of us will fail to reach the Sahasrara or the crown chakra or Ajna or the third eye chakra. So we are not going to get that high. Not being pessimist, but being realistic in the yuga that we are born in. So that explains why renunciation and leaving family and going into the mountains is probably not going to work, even if the sadhus and people like that try that, especially people who have families. Or if they have parents who need to be taken care of and not going to a nursing home while you are meditating on Himalaya. So clearly you have to complete your leftover work, before you can go into the realm of Gyan Yog, because this is the right thing to do. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karm phaletu bhurmarte sangostva karmani. You have to finish your unfinished business without any gifts in return, so that it doesn't go into the repository of Sanchit Karma, where all your unfulfilled desires and actions are going to be manifesting in future lives. So do it without expectation and do it in the name of God. That is the way to go about Karma Yoga. So, friends, that in short is the description of Gyan Yoga versus Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the act of selfless, feeding people, serving people, helping them grow, reach their goals. If you're a teacher, teach your students well. If you're a doctor, cater to your patients the right way. If you're an engineer, build the buildings with utmost efficacy. So whatever you do, do it with a lot of concentration, single-mindedness, without expectation of rewards. And do it in the name of doing the work of God, if you can. And in Gyan Yoga, if you have gone into the Vishuddha, the Ajna or the Sahasrara, the crown chakra, or the third eye chakra or the thyroid chakra, then you can meditate, and like Ramana Maharishi, you can attain blissfulness. You can see your own Atman as a part of the Brahman or the larger consciousness. These are the ways of creating awakening, mindfulness, leading to liberation or moksha, and attainment of the ultimate knowledge, or the siddhi, if you will. So these are not easy to practice, but we should focus on meditating, trying to reevaluate our goals, what work we are doing, and try to pick and choose the good in both of them. Because there's not like Gyan Yog. Gyan Yog also has component of Karma Yog, because when you are thinking or trying to meditate, it's a work. And Karma Yoga itself is thinking about God when you're doing the work, is a component of knowledge of the Gyan Yoga. So both of them are intermingled, and you cannot sustain the body even for 1 second without doing work. And that's why when we are born in Kali Yuga, where a lot of work has to be done, don't try to say that, oh, I'm going into the mountains and I'll meditate for the rest of my life. Because A, it's probably not going to work out well with the lower level of chakras that we are stuck with. And B, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this world before we can go and start meditating in peacefulness. So that's the reason that we need to balance our act, do meditate in the morning with the sunrise, be grateful for all the gifts we have, but at the same time dispense good activities, charities, donations, volunteering, all the work, because that will create a sattvic goodness inside you. And if you use the right balance and think about the God or the higher power, or if you cannot think about the God, if you cannot think about God because you have too much of ego or ahamkara that you are the best, then at least free yourself from the desire of rewards when you perform the good actions. That way the good actions will manifest in goodness around you, and you will be having a more productive and a fruitful life. Hope you liked the lecture. Have a nice evening.